We're going to explore how much savings do I need for retirement. So stay tuned for the full episode. Thank you for watching. This is Richard with Wisdom Investor. We're going to discuss here how to determine how much money you need to be able to retire. How much savings when you hit the retirement age. Now, you've probably heard the $1 million number thrown around. That's not a bad amount to have saved, but I can tell you many people don't have that much money saved. So you don't need that much, but it sure is helpful. If you had $5 million put away, you're in great shape. Now, if you're in your 30s, you probably ought to shoot for at least $1 million. So let's look at how to determine how much money we need for retirement. So we're going to need to know 5 things here. What are your expenses? What are your retirement expenses projected to be? What is your income, such as Social Security and pensions, looking like? From these first 2 categories, then we can determine the savings you need to put aside. And we also have to consider in longevity and taxes. So in this first category, we're going to need to look at the expenses. Your most essential, necessary expenses first, such as household costs, transportation, living expenses, family care, medical health care. You're going to want to get a piece of paper and a pen and write these down. What do you estimate they're going to look like? You know what you're spending now, so you kind of project what you're going to be spending in the future. Also, under expenses, you want to look at discretionary expenses. Discretionary expenses are expenses you can control. So if you have to eliminate or cut back on one of these expenses, you can do this. After you retire, there can be one-time expenses that can sometimes surprise you. But home improvement, car repairs, you want to take a look at what your taxes are. So the first area there is essential expenses, discretionary expenses. Write those down. Do that before you retire. Take a few months and get an idea so you know exactly what you're spending. I've had some of our viewers say, I know exactly what I'm spending, so when I retire, I'm going to know exactly how much money I need. The second step is to calculate your income, like Social Security and pensions. So take a look at the Social Security website and see what your projected Social Security benefit's going to look like. If you work for a company where there's a pension, ask the administrator what your pension's going to be when you retire. So let's look at how to determine how much savings you're going to need for retirement. What we need to do is take a look at our expenses here, minus the income, and that's going to give us our monthly deficit that we need to come up with saving. Let's say, for an example, your annual expenses were $50,000 per year. If you divide that by 12 months, that's $4,166 in monthly expenses. Again, there's going to be people that have a higher monthly cost, and there's going to be people that have lower. This is an example. We're going to next take a look at our Social Security and pensions. The average Social Security benefit in 2021 is $1,543. Everyone's Social Security benefit is going to be a little bit different. We're just going to use the average, and we're going to say there's 2 people in the household that will earn Social Security benefits. That comes to $3,086 per month in income. In this situation, there's no pension income. What we're going to do now is take this $4,166 in monthly expenses here and subtract that from our monthly Social Security benefit. That's $3,086. That gives us a deficit of $1,080 per month that we need to supplement with some type of savings. For a year, you'll need to be able to supplement your Social Security or pension, in this case, with $12,960 coming from some type of retirement savings or 401k savings. So we've calculated our expenses for the year. We've looked at our income, where it's coming from Social Security, and then from that we came up with the savings of approximately about $13,000 per year. Next, we're going to look at longevity. Right now, longevity statistics tell us that if you make it to age 65, you're going to live on the average of 20 years more. We said a moment ago we need $12,960 per year, and we're going to say for 20 years, we're going to cut it right to 20 years. That gives us a balance of $259,200. So now we take our retirement savings, $259,200, and we're going to withdraw at a 5% rate per year. That gives us our $12,960. Keep in mind, this is a ballpark number, but still it gets you somewhere in the ballpark so you can cover your expenses. Now let's say you want to cushion this just a little bit. Instead of living 20 years, you're going to estimate 25 years. So you're going to need to have a larger savings. So in this case, we're going to take our $12,960 and we're going to multiply it by 25 years. That gives us an amount of $324,000 to have saved. If you withdrew it at a rate of 4% per year, that's going to cover your $12,960 per year that you're going to need. Now we need to think about inflation here. You're going to want to invest this $324,000. Inflation runs around 2% per year. They're talking about a higher rate of inflation going forward. So if you're in your 50s or early 60s, having $324,000 saved for retirement is not a bad number. Here's the average retirement balances from Fidelity Investments in 2021. The average IRA balance is $130,000. Average 401k balance is $123,900. The average 403b is $107,000. Now, after you do the calculation, you find you just don't have enough savings to fill the deficit, then you're going to have to cut back on some of your living expenses. In this case, we calculated $50,000 per year. Now, there's many people that live on $20,000 to $25,000 per year. They have their house paid for, and then there's others that they live on $75,000 per year or more. So we've looked at how much money you need to save for retirement. If you're in your 30s, you're going to need about $1 million. If you can save $300,000, that's pretty good. If you save $500,000 to $1 million, that's even better. And of course, there's going to be a lot of folks that have $150,000 or less. So that gives you an idea on how much you need to save for retirement. Stay tuned for our next episode.